Okay, well, I'm here. How's everybody doing this evening, huh? You all right out there? Huh? I hope so. Uh, how's your weather up there? We've been having some really bad rainstorms around here. You see a little creek causing a lot of erosion across the street from me. You know, weather's weather. I was reading some articles this week. I just finished one before. About dogs not being able to be imported into the United States if they come from certain countries, and even if the dog had been in the United States before, it won't be allowed back in. That's you separate a person from their dog, you're going to create some serious, serious problems. I know you would with me, but it's all about rabies and stuff. So uh, you got to look at it from a health perspective, I guess. Um, Let's see. I was reading all these things that they're going after. They're discovering now why they didn't come out in impeachment trials or when the douchebag was president. But of all these things that Trump has done with the DOJ and stuff, you reading all that stuff, are you? Um, I started to think to myself, in the God, he's even worse than Nixon was, And I thought Nixon was pretty bad because I thought Nixon did some physical stuff. He actually broke into places. This was somewhat different. This they claim was all done in secret, and you know, I started thinking again, going back to the stuff about J. Edgar Hoover, how he had a little black book on everybody in Congress and the Senate, and maybe that's what Trump's got. Maybe Trump's got that book. I mean, maybe he just didn't go looking at reporters and other people, politicians and stuff like that, trying to get information on them. Maybe he actually looked at his own people, blackmail. Because I can't believe that these people actually stand there and believe everything this guy says and is willing to support him. They're so afraid of him. There has to be a reason for that, and the only reason I can think of is he's something on them. Now, that would mean that they did investigations on other people besides the Democrats. But also, going back to this, that I looked at all this stuff up over the years, and yeah, there have been some allegations against the Democrats when they were in office. Nothing even close to this, and most of it was about more on a personal level to benefit themselves personally outside of politics. But the Republicans are just all about greed. I mean, they're all about big business and they're all about greed. Um, they're trying to break up, what is it, Facebook, Google, and Amazon, um, using sort of certain regulations they broke and whatnot, so that they have forced the companies to break up. Well, I don't really have much to say about that. I mean, it's not going to affect me any, one way or the other. Maybe I'll just, if the prices go up at Amazon, I'll stop buying there. I can buy, I can get pretty good deals down here too. It's just the merchandise is not necessarily the name brands that's up there, but I can get the same stuff down here. Um, but I think that's greed. I think that's more about greed than it is anything else. Um, these people like Bezos and Zuckers, yeah, and I don't know who the other guy is for Google. I don't know who they are. I think there's more than one person involved there, and they have a lot of power. The Republicans are after power. They're so greedy for power. They would go after their own mother for power. I mean, it's pathetic. And this is and I'm starting to look at this a whole lot differently. I don't like politicians of any suit, any label. I hate politicians. I think they're all crooks. I think they all lie. I think they all cheat. But it appears now that the Republicans are actually way out in front of everybody else when it comes to the lying and cheating part of it. And I don't know. I have this worry that democracy is gone, and I know that if the Republicans gain control again, my Social Security will go right out the window in the first 6 weeks of whatever after the election. They're that's how they do. That's how they control those poor people. You take away their money. You know, all of us that are out there that are trying to survive. Trump gets Social Security. Uh, Biden gets Social Security. I don't know whether he's collecting it now or not, but they're entitled to it. They get it. Uh, that's they don't need it, but they get it. That's the thing about politicians. They'll take something whether they need it or not. So will the average individual. Uh, you go out and I used to have this argument. Going along those lines. I used to have arguments with friends of mine that they worked for companies and they got six sick days a year, and they had to take them, not because the company made them take it, but because they felt they were entitled to it. They looked at it as actually 6 extra vacation days a year. And that's not the way I looked at it. I didn't take them. I didn't. Years went by. I didn't take sick days. When I got them, I was surprised. I was surprised. I said, "I'm getting paid for this. Wow. You guys are really nice." They weren't, but I didn't realize that at the time. I stayed naive for a long time, really. But I have no idea what anybody's going to do about what's going on. And if this, I mean, there appears to be some criminal action that was taken by Trump, but I don't know the fact that it was done while he was president. Is he still liable criminally now for that? I don't know how that works out really. I'd have to look into. I haven't seen anybody discussing that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be saying I don't know right now. I would tell you what I know, but I don't know, so I can't tell you. There are still, these people that believe that believe he's going to be brought back into office in August. And the thing is that there's no, it won't be legal if it's done, because there's no legal way for that to happen. That much everybody's sure of. It would have to be a coup of some sort. It would have to be, really not legal. I guess. I don't know how I could explain it to you. It's not a possibility. I wouldn't say it's not a possibility, but it's not a legal possibility. There's no mechanism in place to allow that to happen. He lost the election. He's done. He's fried. But let's see. Let's see. Now we'll get November, December. We had December, January, February, March, April, May, June. We are roughly 6-7 months into the after the election, and he still swears up and down that he won the election. He refuses to admit to the defeat, even though some of his colleagues, some of the other Republicans, would like to see him at least do that. Move on from the election and start discussing other issues, which they think they can campaign on. To campaign on, I don't know whether he can win, or any of the Republicans can win if they campaign strictly on the fact that the election was fraud. I mean, they'd be calling out the army if the Democrats declared that you started going around saying the election was a fraud, and that's the thing. The only fraudulent actions so far that I've read on the internet, and now, of course, that doesn't mean that's all of us, but the only ones that I get to see are Republicans that are committing the acts of fraud, voting for their dead mother or something like that, I can't talk about that too much. I did some things that would be considered fraudulent back in the day too. So, you know, I don't want to get into that part of it, but I do know that it's not done. Not on a. It's not being done. It wasn't done in this election. The Homeland Security said it was the safest election ever. And what Homeland Security was controlled by Republicans at the time they said that. So I don't understand that. Um, there's so much I don't understand about politics, and it's amazing. But I do understand democracy, and I do understand that there's a clear threat to democracy coming out of the Republican Party. And like I said, the only reason I can think of is this desire for power, this greed. There's no, they're not doing it because they believe the American people are better off with Republicans in office. Although, when you become a politician, that's what you're there for. You go into politics because you believe you're smarter than the other people are, and you know what people want. You know, Nobody knows what I want. I'm not sure what I want half the time. I think a lot of people are like that. I know what I don't want more than I know what I want. I don't want to see uh, Republicans in the White House. I don't want to see Republicans in charge of anything right now. I'm hoping that the Democrats can keep control of the House and the Senate, maybe something. But I would like to see some things get done. And that's what I always said about our two-party system. It doesn't appear that things get done, but I don't think adding a third major party would help anything. I mean, I have you got to come down here and see. There's like 9 parties or something like that, and every time there's an election, every senator has his own party, and it gets kind of makes for a lot of wheeling and dealing and some violent arguments on the floor down here. So of course you're dealing with Latin tempers too. That's for some reason that defies a lot. They defy logic a lot of the times. Um, Apparently, I'm doing some English teaching now on the side. Uh, it's not easy. Uh, I'm not a very good English student, as you all know. Um, if you ever try to read what I do is, people tell me when I write that there's no punctuation or anything in my books, and I say, well, I don't really care about that because when I write, I'm actually telling a story. And when I talk to you, like I'm talking to you now, I don't think I use punctuation marks. I don't think I pause. I pause to breathe. That's about the only thing pause that I do. There's no real hesitation in everything I say or anything. I don't think it's necessary to put commas to let people know. Excuse me, comma. That'd be kind of stupid if we talked with punctuation marks. Then you talk about politics. Now nobody would get anything done anywhere. It'd take you 3 hours to order dinner. You know. Um, I would really wish I had some commentary here that we could discuss because I think I just think there's some important issues out there that people should comment on, my friends just don't seem to be interested in it anymore. All they want to do is get paid, go home, get laid, get some sleep, go back to work the next morning. It's they have no. I know I have friends that are whose family is financially well off, and they don't give a shit about anything. They could care less. They don't care if Social Security collapsed tomorrow. They don't care. They don't worry about Medicaid, Medicare. They don't worry about any of that stuff. They don't. They just absolutely do not care. And I'm glad they can do that. I really am. I don't hold that against them. I'm glad they can do that. But they better hope nothing goes wrong. And the stock market stays good and everything. Um, all this garbage that's going on is starting to cause inflation. I knew it would. I mean, I was just sitting back waiting for it. I've been waiting for it for a while now. I was surprised it didn't come in real strong when Trump was there because Republicans cause inflation because they give tax breaks to people that they shouldn't give tax breaks to people to. They give this. It's a proven fact that the so-called trickle-down economy doesn't work. That by giving the tax breaks to the rich, it will trickle down the increase in profits and whatnot they make will trickle down to the average individual, and that doesn't happen. and you can see it now. You know, the whatever tax breaks were out there that the average individual got are being wiped out by inflation. You know, and they're going to turn around and they're going to want raise, and it's all the raises that were given that are being handed out by companies because of the COVID, because they can't get people to come back to work. Well, there you go. That's inflation. That's the cause of inflation, because the more people have to, the more companies have to pay to manufacture a product, the more they're going to charge you. They're not going to take a cut in profits. You know, if they're making 70%, if they're 60% profit or 40%, let's say they're making 40% profit. Let's you know, give them the benefit of the doubt. And you tell them, listen, if you want to keep selling your product, you're going to have to go down to 30%. No, they're going to turn around and go up to 50%. You know, they're not going to lose money on anything. That's just the way business is. You know, they're greedy people. They don't lose money. You know, and if they lose a percentage point, they start laying off people. Why? You know, because then they create a shortage in the demand, in the supply and demand situation, and the prices go back up again. They don't put those people back to work unless it's absolutely necessary to fulfill orders. And nowadays they don't even do that. You know, they turn around and make a machine do it for them. You know. Oh boy, I tell you. But I am really upset about the way people, you know, that the Trump seems to be getting away with all this stuff, and it was, what was it? What that famous lawyer that was the guy that was defending OJ. Obviously, I'm, you know, getting old here. Can't remember his name, but he mentioned that OJ would, if OJ didn't have the money he had, he would have been convicted in jail in a week. You know, well, that's the story with, you know, what's going on right now. Yeah, and Trump is sitting there and he's living a life, and he doesn't have to spend a dime of his money because he's got this so-called super PAC, which will have to, you know, political action committee, a super political, and apparently this was even, I didn't realize this till just a few months ago, that he doesn't have to spend that money on politics. He can spend it on anything he wants. You know, super PACs, especially when he's out of office or something. I just find that ridiculous. I mean, he's paying his legal fees with that. You know, boy, he's got a lot of legal fees. You know, um, people defend Trump. And they know they're not going to win, but they know they've got a guaranteed income for at least 4 years when they get involved with something with him. You know, because it just takes that his trials and cases drag on forever. You know, and they guaranteed, you know, whatever it is they get paid an hour, or retainers and whatnot. You know, he's a business unto himself. You know, just his legal problems are a business. I wish I could be like that. You know, not the crook type, but just be able to manufacture money by saying, "Hey, give me money. Listen, y'all, you like me? Send me money." You know, that's how they do it. You know. What was it? What was it? One time, there was a contest about somebody got in trouble. Was it Soupy Sale? Somebody like that. One of the music or cartoon shows got in trouble for asking people to send them money, and they did. And there was no charity or anything involved. They just sent him money, something like that, cookies or something. He asked for something, and they gave it to him. And, you know, it got a big scandal about it and everything. You know. I don't know how they determine how much of the PAC money he uses and takes for personal use, and how do they tax him on that? Is that considered income, or is that just like a charitable donation to the scumbag? You know, wouldn't surprise me. You know, the way he operates. There's very little that he does that surprises me anymore. You know, I mean, if he was to be accused of murder, it wouldn't surprise me. You know, but I don't think he's smart enough to commit a murder and even get away with it for more than an hour. You know, that's the other side of the coin. He's done all this stuff, and he's not smart enough to hide it. You know, I mean, everything he's done is coming out. You know, all he did was what he's best at doing when he does something wrong is delaying the information from getting to the public. And the whole Republican Party's like that. They delay the information from getting to the public. They'll take something happens today, and you won't know about it until a week from Tuesday. You know, when it doesn't really matter anymore. That's what the way he looks at it. Now people won't care. Oh, so what? He's not in office anymore, so it doesn't make any difference what he did with the DOJ. Yeah, it does. You have to put in something that can prevent that from happening again. Department of Justice is supposed to be an independent entity, fair. Well, obviously, it's not. So this is what people voted for Trump because of situations like this. That they didn't want the regular politicians controlling everything, so they put in some abnormal meathead, um, and that sort of did what it did. Um, I don't know. you know, it's kind of a strange situation. What's going to happen? That's what people really want to know. They want to know what's going to happen, and I can't tell you. Uh, I can tell you what's going on, but I can't tell you what the end results are going to be. That's up to you. I mean, how you think about things, how you handle things. The American public has got so much on its mind right now, and what he did, he was able to get away a lot with because of the pandemic, because people had other concerns than what he was doing. They were concerned about their parents, their children. They were concerned about their jobs. And now as people become less concerned about that, they don't care. They just want to go to work and get paid and do what they're doing, and not have to worry about any of it. They just want to sit back and enjoy their life. And getting involved in the political situation of this country prevents them from doing that. The only people that are involved are the young people. And they need it. The young people need some spokesmen. It's the same problem. I said this on a blog I posted the other day. I uploaded the other day that down here they did some interviews with some young people, and even my wife was impressed by these people. But there's no cohesiveness to these movements. You need to have a speaker. And I'm not talking about some 50-year-old or something. I'm talking about if the people that are protesting are 20 to 30 years old, then you need somebody to step up, 20 to 30 years old, just like that little girl does for the climate. She's become a symbol, worldwide symbol for that. That's what politics needs. They need young people to get involved. They said the same thing back when Kennedy was there. Ask not what you can do for your country, but what you can do for you. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And all the young people jumped on that. And, yeah. And then all of a sudden, nobody listened to him anymore. I was one of those young people. I was a member of the Democratic County Committee. I sat in meetings and whatnot, and they didn't give a shit what I said or what any of us said. They would acknowledge us and go on, and then everything went on just like we weren't there. All the backroom smoke, backroom cigar smoking, all the shit that went on at the meetings when other people went to the kitchen table and the young people weren't allowed in there. You know, you need these young people to have a voice. You know, I'm not so sure that what should they call her, AOC? So I'm not really sure of her name. I'm not sure she's the right young person to be out there talking about anything. I think she's too traumatic, and I don't think she's ever been a real true activist type individual. I think that little girl that does that went before Congress for the climate and whatnot, I think she's brilliant. I mean, she's autistic, I think, but she's still a bright young girl that has the right idea. But there you have a question of where who's going to listen to a 12 or 13 or 14-year-old girl unless she's in a singing contest. Nobody's going to listen to her. Nobody cares what she has to say. I care what she has to say because she makes sense. But I guess people don't care if you make sense. I mean, that's what the whole thing about the whole thing about. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm sorry about that. That my wife's on the phone, and when she talks on the phone, that you can hear her in the next county. You can still hear her through the door. Um, I forgot what I was saying anyhow, but I need. I think the only salvation for democracy is young people to believe in it again and young people to become involved. Um, I can add a historical note or two to some things. That's what I do. That's what I try to do. I put some things in context, relate to the past or whatever. But I think that's a large part of our problem is we're looking at the past. I mean, there's just from a technological point of view, we're so far ahead of where we were when I was born 75 years ago. Look at what's happened in just the last 30 years. You know, if you were born 30 years ago, you've experienced a huge technological leap. Cell phones, computers, personal computers, the internet. Uh, you're way ahead of the game. Uh, Old people tend not, part of the deal with old people, they say is that they don't acknowledge technology. They don't deal with it. I built computers when I was 60 years old, so I know uh, a little about this stuff. I understand some of it, better than some of the young people do today. I do troubleshooting for people, and I'm not a genius or anything. I just use common sense and some of the stuff I know. But it's like people get attached to an old computer and they won't accept new. It's like I use Linux and nobody wants to use Linux because they're afraid of it. Linux is safer than Windows. It's better than Windows. Just that the fact is that some things you can't do because you can't communicate properly because they won't. It's like I can't use my video camera that I have with Linux talking to you on YouTube, but I deal with it. I use it for other places. I can upload the videos with it. So I just can't do a live broadcast using that camera. Trust me, it's 100 times better than what you're seeing right now. Um, but old people have their place in the world. We do. We don't need to be neglected. You need to take advantage of us, but you also need the young people to drive progress. Not old people have a tendency to restrain it sometimes, but if you want to drive progress, you need young people. You need their energy, their mental acuity. You need all that stuff. All right. We're starting to come to the end of this day. I always have a trouble. When I used to write books, write compositions in high school, I would come to the end and I wouldn't know what to do, so I would just put the end. Teachers hated me for that. um, but yeah, I think we should pay attention to what's going on in the news, the small articles, the small stories, and whatnot, and find out, and really study this stuff and see if we can figure out a way to prevent what's happened in the past from happening again. That's that old saying: if you don't learn from history, you're destined to repeat history. So I don't want to see more uprisings and whatnot, and what have you. Um, Getting ready to end this now. All right, everybody have a great week. Um, tell your friends, if you listen, if you actually watched it or you see parts of it on YouTube, tell your friends, all right, I'm out of here. Ciao.